Wafatapa mulliganing to 6 here. Is mulliganing that big a deal with the 5-color control decks? Is that a massive disadvantage?
I mean, I think that you have so much card advantage over the course of the game that as long as you can get your land and your spells, you don't want to have a hand that just doesn't do anything. So I think you'd much rather mulligan, especially with a deck like that is so resilient.
If limited is your thing, by the way, do check out the draft tech with Brad Nelson. He was sitting next to Guillaume Wafatapa, and an absolutely great piece about the fact that Wafatapa passes the first pack, so Brad looks at pack 2, sees a Conundrum Sphinx, and goes, "You, my friend, have a mind control."
We're underway in
Wonder
Game
Why
Hub. No Merfolk reveal.
Vivid Land. And there's a Teachings in hand. Of course, there's a bunch of land. There is a Cruel Ultimatum. One of the most iconic mana costs in Magic. 2, 3, and 2. So 4-land Mystical Teachings and Cruel Ultimatum.
Brad is making short work of Kai, by the way, on the other table.
Indeed he is.
He's got a counter on top of his deck to remind him to pay for a Slaughter Pact, and he's just attacking for a ton next turn.
So Libet has Meddling Mage, 2 Meddling Mages in hand, Mana Leak, Lord of Atlantis. Looks like a Coral Helm Commander, another of the levelers we talked about. Mari's trying to mount a comeback on the back table against Reitzel. He's got a pair of Tarmogoyfs down, but Reitzel is kind of changing the power and toughness on the Tarmogoyfs by he's got Relica Progenitus in play, gradually leading through the graveyards and saying, I want to make it bigger, let's make it smaller.
Silvergill Adept gets in for 2. And then we see Coral Helm Commander, which levels up pretty quickly. For 4 mana, you can make that a 4/4 flyer that gives a bonus to all his merfolk.
It's one of his many, many, many lords.
He's got, I believe, 15 lords total in the deck.
Yeah, as we wade through, we've got 4 Mirror Regere, we've got 2 Merfolk Sovereign, we've got 4 Lord of Atlantis, we've got 3 Coral Helm Commander.
So it's 13.
13?
Yeah.
Oh, how disappointing.
Yeah, that is a little disappointing. Yeah.
Kai is trying to fight his way back in with Spectral Procession, which of course with Honor of the Pure means he's just made 6 Power of Guys for 3 mana. Which is the kind of power level you expect from an extended format.
And he has that annoying 3/3 first striker as well.
Looks like the joking plan that Jacob and Kibler discussed with the 3 land, 2 of which were Tree Dot Village, has not really materialized as you might expect. Michael Jacob now leads 2-1 over Brian Kibler. Even if... Yes, please, Scott, let's do that. And we will go and see their Game 4 next, at the conclusion of Game 3 of Moraine Libet and Guillaume Wafatapa. Even if Kibler does lose that match against Jacob, it will not necessarily be the end of the weekend for him, because we have the Hall of Fame announcement between the semi-finals and the final, and judging by a lot of the ballots that have been made public, Kibler is among the front runners. There you see Spreading Seas coming down from Moraine.
Let me ask you a question. We have Guillaume Wafatapa, who is eligible in his first year of eligibility for the Hall of Fame. Did not see a lot of discussion for him.
Sure.
He only had 2 top 8s, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
What does this do for you next year when you're considering your ballot and Guillaume might still be there?
If he loses in the quarterfinal, I'm not sure it changes an awful lot. Any time you can run the table twice. If you're a multiple Pro Tour winner, that has to bump you up a list. Right. Especially as there are plenty of people who are on the ballot right now who have never won a Pro Tour. And indeed some people have never won a Pro Tour or a Grand Prix, and yet are being seriously considered. So if you have a multiple Pro Tour win, I think you'd be entitled to feel you would be at the forefront of the discussion. And I think some of the things I read about Guillaume, he's a little light right now, and I think that's perfectly fair.
Right. So we see he's attacked. It looks like there's some discussion about pumping a Coral Helm Commander at the end of the turn.
Kai is back down to 1 Spectral Procession token when 'tis neither the White Orchid, Honor of the Pure. Up against double Loam Lion, there's a Trifak Harbinger Tarmogoyf for Brad Nelson. He did, of course, pay for his Slaughter Pact.
Whatever that discussion was, it ended up with 1 level counter on the commander.
You can see Head Judge Toby Elliott in the background taking an interest in Reitzel against Ma. I think that might be a spectator interest rather than a professional interest. As we see, one of the multi-mode spells, the Charm.
I'm sure he's just worried about Jun doing well.
And you see Teferi, the Mage of Zalfir, in Wafatappa's hand as well.
But by the way, the game that looked so well in hand on the other monitor for Brad Nelson has gotten a lot worse for him.
Yeah, and BDM's so excited he's actually sneezing himself to death in the booth here, with 6 Spectral Procession tokens have come down for Kai.
Actually, I believe 9 have come down. 3 have died.
Oh, 3 have died.
Oh,
Pulse from Brad Nelson back the other way.
All 9 have died.
Oh, gone away again. Oh.
Meanwhile, back on the
table with the real haymaker magic, we have Regeray, Lord of Atlantis, Cryptic Command peeking out there, double Meddling Mage, double Mana Leak. How happy were players to see Mana Leak back?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely just changed the way you play in newer formats already. You know, there were very few counters you had to worry about, and now you just have to play around this stuff. Okay, so we see Commander getting pumped to a 3/3 flyer. Yes, is that okay? Yes, it is. I'm going to try to take it up to 4.
Esper Charm gives Guillaume plenty to think about. And he is someone who does plenty of thinking. I think in the 5 years I've seen Guillaume play Magic, I don't think I've ever seen him rattled. Not ever. And there is the Esper Charm. Tell you what, I'll have some cards. How about that? So Wafatappa with all the cards in the world, and really the way you kind of read the board position is how many land does Guillaume have in play? I can tell you that Kai Buddha is 2 up on Brad Nelson. The Maelstrom Pulse was not enough for Nelson. That white deck has some legs. And many of them have wings too.
Yeah.
So a reminder that Michael Jacob against Brian Kibler will be coming up next, with Jacob 2-1 up in their match.
It's so funny when you think of the White Weenie decks, you just don't think of... I mean, like, look at the Merfolk deck and then look at the White Weenie deck. Mm-hmm. The Merfolk deck just has, basically the only card advantage it has, so to speak, is Silvergill Adept, draw a card.
Sure.
Whereas the White Weenie deck is... ancestraling, it's making 3 creatures with Spectral Procession, it's getting extra lands with Knight of the White Orchid, it's making 3, it's just crazy.
It's the bonus with the Flagstones and Tricare and Range of Eos for 2 guys. Now Guillaume Wafatappa there is running out of time, because Curse Catcher, Coral Hell Commander, Silvergill Adept, Wafatappa is at 4. It looks like Moraine is right on the verge.
Sphere of Resistance for Guillaume. And and of course also has to respect that 2 mana that's untapped from Moraine.
Indeed.
Certainly.
So he has... does he have 8 mana available? Can he go Damnation, pay for a Mana Leak, pay for Curse Catcher? I don't think he has that.
No, I don't believe so.
So he says his teachings
He has five mana in play.
And we know, of course, that Moraine does have Mana Leak in hand.
Guillaume is down to 4.
I feel he's functionally dead, as we like to say in the trade.
Mostly dead, as they like to say in The Princess Bride.
Wow. You got that in the quarterfinals. It's normally later in the day. Nelson and Buddha shuffling for game 3 with Kai 2 to the good. Jacob 2-1 over Kibler, waiting for game 4 to start.
How does Guillaume remain so calm? I mean, I get into a key situation in a moto draft, and my heart rate is like 110.
Magic
right?
Online,
In
yeah,
Magic Online, I'm like, oh no, am I going to lose this game? Like, he's playing to even up this this match. In the top 8 of a pro tour, and he's he looks the same as if he was play testing cards with his buddies.
I nearly said sweating in your pajamas, but I don't want to give people that image at home, so I won't. Is there any way out of this for Guillaume? He, of course, will be thinking, although we know that the Mana Leak is there, he will presume one of the techniques you have is when there are things you can't beat, you just assume they don't have them, and then predicate.
Well, you don't have
there.
a choice.
That's right. Yeah, you just go, well, if you've got it, you've got it.
You're certainly not going to scoop, right?
I can tell you that on the back table we have our first semi-finalist, Paul Reitzel, by 3-0 over Thomas Marr. The 19-year-old's run ends in the quarterfinal. What a fabulous run, though. First Pro Tour, 0 lifetime pro points. Let's infinitely improve that to 12 for the guy. Terrific run for him, and those sunglasses will live long in the memory.
And everyone who's been looking at this new extended format can sort of take a sigh of relief that Jun doesn't make cut a swath through this top 8, which statistically it suggested that it would. It was very interesting. There were no bad matchups left. The only bad matchups that Jund had in this tournament were all of the combo decks. It had a terrible matchup against Ad Nauseam. It had a terrible matchup against Pyromancer's Ascension. All those decks are not here. All right, so Guillaume plays his 6th land. And it says, can you kill me?
So Moraine untaps. 3 land in play, Curse Catcher, Coral Helm Commander, Silvergill Adept, draws.
It's possible to have an all-white weenie finals.
It's also possible to have an all-teachings final. Those two are not the same by about 4 hours. They are underway in Buddha against Brad Nelson. By the way, Trivak Harbinger, Lone Lion for Brad Nelson, Figure of Destiny for Kai. And his turn 2 is going to be Honor of the Pure and pass the turn. Moraine closing in on victory, we think, here in game 3. Reitzel through to the semi-final. Reitzel, stop it, Richard. Give him the man the right name. Jacob and Kibler waiting to show you all at home their skills in game 4.
Doran on turn 3 meant that Brad attacked for 6.
Nice. Another big Doran Fanyan massacre, won the Grand Prix in Seattle-Tacoma last year with that archetype.
Spectral Procession for Kai. We see a Vendilion click.
You do indeed see a Vendilion click.
Is he going to click himself here?
And right now he has the mana to pay for a Mana Leak, which is one of the reasons Moraine sort of casually says, yeah, sure.
Yep. He is clicking himself. Reveals the
Teferi.
And
Goes
looks
away.
for a better answer.
Mm-hmm. So there's block on the Corral Commander. Guillaume will go to 1 as things stand. 2 from the Silver Gill Adept, 1 from the Curse Catcher. $20-1. That's pretty much the archetypal 5-color control position. You're
Sure.
on 20. I don't care.
I think it might also be, it would also be generous odds on.
On Guillaume pulling out of this
Yes.
one. And Brad Nelson, courtesy of Doran the Siege Tower, has taken Game 3 to open his account in the quarterfinals.
And it was also
against Kai.
the one-for-one Maelstrom Pulse against the Spectral Procession was pretty big there.
Yes. Jacob Kibler coming right up, writes all through. 1-1 here, but about to be 2-1, we think. To the Belgian, Moraine Libert, who would then be 1 game away from his first quarterfinal victory in a Pro Tour. Which is closer than most of us will ever
I
get.
think Guillaume is contemplating a scoop here.
Yes. Things do look grim.
No?
Well,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. So that is the end of Game 3. Moraine Libert leads by 2 games to 1. And what we are going to do is head across town to table number 2, which features Michael Jacob and Brian Kibler of the United States, who are getting ready to play their Game 4 for your entertainment and delectation. I can tell you that Michael Jacob is running this Grixis Teachings deck with any amount of fun and frolics, including one of the copies in the top 8 of Grove of the Burn Willows Punishing Fire, which incidentally is pretty much the last combo that's left in the building, because no true combo decks made it to the top 8.
Right. So I was talking to Michael about his sideboard for this. So both it was interesting. Both players, both Mike and Brian, they've played about 100 games of this exact matchup in the week leading up to this event.
Against each other.
Against each other, yeah. These exact decks, they both know each other's sideboard strategies inside and out, and they both seem to feel that they had, as the good players will often, tell you, oh yeah, I'm like a 60% favorite here.
And there you see Brian Kibler, StarCityGames.com. He's going to keep...
I actually get to keep a hand.
I actually get to keep a hand. Sounds like Kibler's had some mana issues. We know he did in the last game that he lost with his double treetop village. And there's Mike Jacob in the hat.
Okay.
As you see, Jacob leads by 2-1. Had a really interesting sit down with Mike Jacob over breakfast one morning at Grand Prix Washington. And we're underway with Treefolk Harbinger for Kibler.
Fetch land for Murmuring Boss before play Treefolk Harbinger.
Yeah, no, I
Reveal it and play it.
may actually be able to cast some more spells.
And something Jacob was saying was that he felt his play was just a bit too intense and he was just wanting it a little too much, and he had managed to just sort of bring himself back, talk himself back down from that ledge of every single land being the most important thing in the history of the known universe, and that suddenly the results were starting to come again because he was just that little bit more relaxed at the table. And at the mouse, a lot of online play for Mike.
Keldon Necropolis from Michael, and then another Treefolk Harbinger. This is the opening that Brian refers to as Treefolk combo.
Yep.
So it's a Treefolk Harbinger into a Treefolk Harbinger into a Doran with a Treetop Village.
It doesn't get a lot better than, and you're looking at the other
attack
side.
you attack on turn 3 right now for 6 damage.
Yep. And here's a crumbling necropolis on the other side of the table, and
Yeah.
that's your lot.
And then next turn you can attack for the balance of his life total. So you really see.
I read about that. It's so sick. Go.
Still think this might have swam though.
He plays the Doran, and
17.
does it resolve?
Yay!
Yes, it does.
I'm so excited.
Double lightning bolt takes down the Doran.
Okay.
tree folk are like, oh, I was feeling so good about this attack.
Congratulations, I'm in for nothing.
And there's Preordained from Mike Jacob. One of my favorite cards in this set of M11. I love that card.
I love the format. And so do most of the players from what we're hearing this week.
Everyone seemed really surprised by how much play they've been able to get out of the M11 draft experience.
I think it's because you don't have to pick the best cards. You can build decks in M11.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actual authentic. I'm playing
I'm just excited.
black-red control with 5 rubbish monsters,
Go.
but I can still 3 out this pot. So Kibler untaps his double Treefolk Harbinger, Treetop Village.
That one.
Oh, and there's another door.
Let's battle again.
Do you have 2 more lightning bolts?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I
But
don't
Mana
think
Leak this time. Go away.
Go.
those treetop villages are going to be a little better in this game than they might have been when he was Landlight.
Reitzel 3-0. Libert 2-1 up. Jacob here 2-1 up. Kai Buddha 2-1 up over Nelson. With the Figure of Destiny in honor of the Pure in play up against Putrid Leech and Lone Lion.
Jace the Mind Sculptor from Michael Jacobs.